Doom Eternal comes out soon, and that caused me to look back at all of Doom. Then I learned something that really fascinated me. Doom 64 had a sequel planned, but that sequel was cancelled. What happened to it? Why was Doom 64's sequel cancelled? Well, today we're going to get as close to a definitive answer that we can. We need to start off with a brief history of Doom 64. How did Doom 64 end up being created? Well, at the time, Doom and id Software was rising really fast. Doom ports were being shot out left and right. Doom was an ultra-violent, but also ultra-cool game. It was innovative. It was everything. You weren't a real gamer if you weren't playing Doom. Come on. It was awesome. So why not continue to expand the franchise out more? Well, that is exactly what happened when id Software contracted Midway to make Doom 64. For those of you who don't know, Midway has published and created iconic franchises such as Mortal Kombat, Rampage, the best sports game ever, also known as NBA Jam, Cruisin', and Spy Hunter. So Midway essentially had their hands in two extremely violent franchises, Mortal Kombat and Doom. Doom 64 was originally called the Absolution, and then changed to Doom 64 for brand recognition. Plus, every N64 game for some reason had to have 64 at the end of the title. Midway also wanted to add in every demon from Doom 1 and 2, but due to cartridge limitations they couldn't. Doom 64 also boasted some nice looking 3D environments and pre-rendered sprites for the enemies and guns. Overall, the Doom 64 team created an impressive game. Doom 64 gained a huge cult following, since it was considered a great game. Some people even considered it better than any other Doom game at the time. id Software took notice and was impressed with Midway's work, but at the time, another major FPS was getting closer and closer to release. That game was GoldenEye 007. GoldenEye 007 was a gigantic success when it was released. Plenty of people bought GoldenEye 007 and played the multiplayer mode for hours with friends. If you had an N64 and enjoyed first-person shooters, you probably owned a copy of GoldenEye. That game was revolutionary for console FPS games. A lot of console developers wanted to join the mania of local multiplayer first-person shooters, because who wouldn't? There was plenty of profit to be had here. And for the Doom Absolution developers, this was the perfect opportunity. Midway had actually planned for a multiplayer mode for Doom 64, but Nintendo didn't give them the proper tools to make a multiplayer mode, so Midway cut it out of the game. Work started on Doom Absolution shortly after Doom 64's development was wrapped up. Well, what would Doom Absolution have been? If Doom Absolution would have been heavily focused on multiplayer, it would have been set on the moon. Before development was cancelled, work was progressing well in the multiplayer, since it was fully playable and multiple levels were finished. All this information comes to us from developer Tim Hadelar. Other than that, not much is known about the game. So why was Doom Absolution cancelled? It sounds like it could have been successful considering it's a popular genre and a popular franchise. Well, it was impressed with Midway's work with Doom 64, so Midway was allowed to work on Quake 64, a port of Quake to the Nintendo 64. While Quake definitely isn't as iconic as Doom in most people's eyes, Quake is still a popular franchise. Plus, Quake 64 allowed for more impressive graphics than Doom Absolution. By this point, Doom's pre-rendered sprites weren't considered as impressive as something like Quake. Many people saw Doom's graphics and just considered it outdated and a thing of the past. So Midway felt it was better to just pour its resources into Quake 64. With the staff of Doom 64 being moved to Quake 64, that left nobody to work on Doom Absolution, so it was canned. Now that I've gone over the complete history of Doom Absolution, I'm going to give my opinions on it. So if you only clicked to hear the facts end here. So what do I think of Doom Absolution? Well, I think it would have been interesting, but I'm honestly not sure if it would have been great. I feel like eventually people wouldn't care about it, even though Doom is great. A Doom that focuses only on multiplayer doesn't sound that appealing to me. A big reason I enjoy Doom is being able to go back and replay the single player and having multiplayer as a side option. So Doom not focused on single player loses a lot of the reason I enjoy Doom. So while we did get a definitive answer of why Doom Absolution was cancelled, we ended up not finding out about this amazing game that was cancelled. So while it disappointed me, I'm glad I was able to learn about this game. It'll make a cool bit of trivia. Well, for now, I'm Views. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm signing out.